Hello, Dan Alasso here. I'm beginning spring break this weekend. Where I live, this actually means spring is not far off, finally. I'm not going anywhere sunny, but I am taking advantage of the mostly above freezing daytime temperatures to get back out on the road daily and walk my 5 miles or so. This means that I'm building an hour into my daily schedule to listen to audiobooks. I have several queued up and ready to go. The first one, which I've been listening to for the last couple of weeks, is Nassim Nicholas Taleb's Anti-Fragile, Things That Gain from Disorder. I found it very useful, and I found the tone quite funny after I decided to laugh about the author's outsized ego and his opinions about the academy and the people that he calls fragilistas, who nearly destroyed the economy a decade ago and who don't really seem to have learned anything from that experience. I'll have more to say about the ideas that Taleb covers in this book in a review soon. I'm just beginning to go through it a second time, which is the stage really where I begin interacting with the text. Well, that's not entirely true. I sometimes stop during my walks and make a couple of audio notes. In the Audible app, you can use the included tools like this. So the way you make a note, if you're listening to an audiobook,
Anti-Fragile, Things That Gain from Disorder,
is that you say add a note, and because I'm walking, I tend to make notes this way. And then if I want to return to the note and see it later when I'm making my actual notes, I can go to my clips and bookmarks, and there's my opening credits note. And there's also another note that I took while I was walking about history. And if I want, I can go to the bookmark and see what it was that the author was saying when I made that note, so that I can gain some context.
So to blatant intellectual expropriation. We received an invitation to publish our side of the story, being optional to blatant intellectual expropriation.
Once I've listened to the text all the way through, I have some options. I can just return to the clips that I took and make notes of them, or if I think the text is worthy of more time, I often listen to it again, usually at an even higher rate of acceleration, along with the Kindle or the paper text, whichever I happen to have. This gives me an opportunity to highlight and to comment on the passages that interest me. Later, once I've done this with the full text, or in this case, I think probably with each major section, which Taleb calls books, I'll return to these highlights and these notes and paraphrase, very occasionally quoting, and put them into my reading notes. I'll make a page for this book in Obsidian and put my thoughts about Taleb's ideas in there. And this will hopefully lead me to doing my own work with these ideas and incorporating them into permanent notes. I suspect that this will be the case with this particular book because I've already referred to it and gone on a bit of a tangential riff about both black swans and anti-fragility in my class discussions last week. So it'll be helpful for me to understand exactly what I think about these ideas, about where they're applicable, and also about any flaws in the arguments or any limits that I think exist to that applicability. I had hoped to be able to use the Whispersync feature of the Amazon ecosystem to do this. And this is something that I've seen highly touted as a way to not only be platform agnostic in consuming content, but actually media agnostic. The gist of the idea is that if you have the Audible and the Kindle version of a book, you should be able to listen as you read, or switch back and forth and listen sometimes and read other times, and they should sync up so that the app should know where you left off the last time. And this is convenient when it works, but it doesn't always work, and I found that out the hard way. As I was setting up to do this second stage with a Taleb book, I found that the Audible version of this book that I owned was unable to sync with the Kindle version. I tried manipulating the settings and whatnot, and then after 15 minutes or so on a chat with an Amazon support person, we got to the bottom of it and discovered that the Whispersync feature is really only available for a subset of the titles that are currently sold as both audiobooks and as Kindles. And I'm not sure if that subset corresponds with the ones where you're actually offered a cheap Audible add-on when you're buying the Kindle book. Hopefully that is the case, and I'll pay closer attention to that the next time I take advantage of that offer. For the others, where I have both the Audible and the Kindle and they don't sync, I have been able to run the audio and the ebook side by side on my iPad. And this allows me to listen to the text very quickly once again and to make highlights and notes in the Kindle where I want to make them. The controls are a little bit less convenient than the Whispersync, and I occasionally have to page around or search to find the thing that I want to highlight or comment on if I don't happen to be sitting, staring at the screen, reading along. Like, for instance, if I'm doing my spring cleaning in the office here while I'm listening to the text again. But if I'm concentrating on the text, it's not that much of a problem. I know it's a bit redundant to buy books in a variety of formats. Some people may consider it to be a waste. My excuse is that I'm not doing it for every book, just the books that I really think are going to contribute to my work. And luckily, the prices of Kindle and Audible versions of these texts are coming down, especially when they really are offered together with the Whispersync feature intact. So most of the time, I am willing to pay the price of a premium coffee at Starbucks to be able to add this flexibility to my quote-unquote reading. I think I probably go through significantly more content by doing it this way. I'll do a video with my thoughts on the Talet book very soon when I've finished processing it. But in the meantime, I thought I would share how I am processing it. And I hope people found this a little bit interesting. Thanks for listening. I'll see you again next time.